Students, let's start today with animal tissue topic. So this is one of the important topic of this chapter, tissue. So in this chapter we are having two categories. One is plant tissue and other is animal tissue. Plant tissue and animal tissue, totally they are different because of their structure formation and along with the function, as they need to perform different functions. So they have different structures. So here different types of animal tissues are there. Now, how we are classifying the tissue and what is the main functions and based on which qualities they are classified, we are going to discuss out today. When we breathe, we can actually feel the movement of our chest. How do these body parts move? So here the body parts are moving when we are breathing. When we inhale or exhale, the diaphragm which will extend upward, downward, outward, inward. So all these movements are related to some kind of tissue which will contract and relax. So contraction and relaxation is done by muscular tissue. So muscular tissue is one of the type. For this we have the specialized cell called muscle cells, and these contraction and relaxation of these cells result in the movement. So here contraction and relaxation, when we want to have movement in our body, we need to use our muscular tissue. If we go in detail, during breathing we inhale oxygen. Where does this oxygen go? So here in the previous chapter cell you might have come across, if you remember, recall that mitochondria topic. So where this oxygen which we are taking in will reach and it will combine with the glucose and undergo oxidation, where energy is synthesized and stored in the form of ATP. Thus the mitochondria is called powerhouse of the cell. So here when we are inhaling oxygen, it is absorbed in the lungs and then is transported to all the body cells through blood. So here oxygen we are taking from the nose and then it is reaching to lungs. From lungs it has to reach to every body cell. So there is a need of another kind of tissue where the transportation is needed. So blood is the another kind of tissue which helps in the transportation. Why would the cells need oxygen? So just now I discussed cells need oxygen to generate energy. The function of the mitochondria we studied earlier provide a clue to this question. Blood flows and carries various substances from one part of the body to the other. For example, it carries oxygen and food to all cells. It also collects waste. So here blood is having two kind of functions. One, as it is a transporting medium of our body, so it helps in the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide, that is respiratory gases. Along with that, food is also transported along with blood only, and waste which is generated in the kidney and liver, those are also transported through blood only. So blood is a liquid connective tissue, as it is in the form of liquid and it is connecting the whole body parts, like every cell is being connected with the blood, where it is collecting waste, or it is generating, or it is providing food, and exchange of gases it is helping. So in this way it is connecting each and every cell. So we call it as liquid connective tissue. It also collects waste from the all parts of the body and carries them to the liver and kidney for disposal. Here liver and kidney is the excretory units. Okay, kidney is the major one, but some poisonous substances are also excreted by liver. Now, blood and muscles are both example of tissue found in our body, but both are of different kinds. On the basis of function they perform, we can think of different types of animal tissue, such as epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue, and blood. So all these are types of animal tissue depending on their function and where they are present. And blood is also a type of connective tissue. We already discussed, as it is connecting each and every body cell, we call it as connective tissue. And muscles forms the muscular tissue. So this is little introduction. What are the different kinds of tissues are there? What are the different kinds of animal tissues? Now we are going to start out one by one. So the first one is epithelial tissue. So the name itself describes about its function. So, epithelial, epi means cover. It is covering the internal as well as external organs. So here skin is a type of epithelial tissue which covers the body and providing protection. The covering or protective tissue in the animal body are called epithelial tissue. So you need to underline the sentence, and then this is the definition for the epithelial tissue. Epithelium covers most organ and cavities within the body. So what is this cavity? Cavity means the empty space which is present between the organs. So every organ has got some empty space. For example, suppose if there is a lungs, and then we are having chest cavity where the lungs are present, and then heart is also present. So in between them there is a space which has to be filled with certain packing material. So this packing material is nothing but epithelial tissue. So this is providing covering. It also forms barrier to keep different body systems separate. So here when it is making the cavity to be filled, along with the cavity filling, it is acting like a barrier also. That is, it is separating two different systems. So here the lungs is in respiratory system and blood is in circulatory system. So thus both the systems are being separated by epithelium. So we can say it like it acts like barrier also. The skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessels, lungs, alveoli and kidney tubules all are made up of epithelial tissue. So here if you are asked for epithelial tissue short note, you need to cover out like the topics to be separated out. First one, introduction, what is epithelial tissue by giving the definition. The next, where they are present, okay, presence or occurrence. Then after that, function. So here epithelial tissue is present in the skin, lining of the mouth, that is the inner cover of the mouth. Then the lining of the blood vessels, even the blood vessels are also covered with epithelium. Lungs, alveoli. So alveoli is the respiratory unit of human body. That is every lungs, the bronchiole is terminated by a balloon like structure where there is gaseous exchange taking place. If we see the structure of lungs, there we can find that the balloon like structures are the terminating one. So here this balloon like structure where the gaseous exchange is taking place is called alveoli. This is also made up of epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue cells are tightly packed. This is the characteristics. First you will be writing about introduction, then occurrence. Now the characters, how they are. Epithelial tissues are tightly packed and forms a continuous sheet. So here they are tightly packed, means there is no intercellular space. So here they are tightly packed. There is a space, but that is very less space. They are tightly packed. They have only a small amount of cementing material between them and almost no intercellular space. So here point wise you need to write out all. Like first one, the cells are continuously packed without any intercellular space, and obviously anything entering or leaving the body must cross at least one layer of epithelium. So as I explained, like it covers the body part. So here, or it is the covering of the skin. So if anything is entering or leaving the body, it has to cross out epithelial tissue. So one more function is being added over here. It is acting like a permeable sheet where it is providing permission to the things to enter and leave. Now, as a result, the permeability of the cell of various epithelia plays an important role in regulating the exchange of materials between the body and the external environment, and also between the different parts of the body. So here it is helping to maintain the exchange between the body and to the external environment. Regardless of the type, all epithelia is usually separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. So here the epithelium tissue, it is having the basement membrane. So here the base, that is the last cover where the cells are being arranged. So it is having a basement membrane. Regardless of types, all epithelia is usually separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. So yeah, as I explained, like here that epithelial tissue will have a basement membrane, on that the cells are arranged. Now we are going to read about types of epithelia. Depending on position and function they perform, there are different types of epithelia. So here, cells lining blood vessels and lungs alveoli, where the transportation of substance occur through a selectively membrane permeable surface. So here, like alveoli and blood vessels, their transportation has to occur, the things has to pass out. So there the epithelium is having some cilia like. So here the epithelial cells are very flat. So they will be very thin and flat with a nucleus. So that kind, that is a simple flat kind of epithelia is present. This is called simple squamous epithelia. So when we classify it, the first kind is simple squamous epithelia. So first one is squamous epithelium. So where it is present, we need to write the occurrence and how it is. It is thin and flat, present in the lining of the alveoli and blood vessels. Now, simple squamous epithelia cells are extremely thin and flat and forms a delicate lining. So this is its first point. They are thin and flat. Esophagus and the lining of the mouth are also covered with squamous epithelium. In occurrence, you can write two more. The first one, blood vessels, alveoli, and then the next, lining of the mouth. The skin which protects the body is also made up of squamous epithelium. Even the skin is made up of squamous epithelium. Skin epithelial cells are arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. So here skin is the outer covering. If it will have a single cell, like we find in earthworm, even earthworm is also not having single cell. If it will be having only single membrane, it will be very delicate. Like if anything will touch our body, soon it will blast out and blood will come out. So thus, as it is facing wear and tear, some hardships, so it has to be in many layers. Thus the epithelium or the squamous epithelium which is making the skin of our body is having many layers to face out with wear and tear. Since they are arranged in pattern of layers, the epithelium is called stratified squamous epithelium. So this is the second category, which is called stratified squamous epithelium. Now stratified squamous epithelium is the advanced form of simple epithelium. Squamous epithelium, when it gets layered, we call it as stratified. That is layered epithelium. Layered squamous epithelium is called stratified epithelium. Where absorption and secretion occur as in the inner lining of intestine, this columnar epithelium facilitates movement across the epithelial barrier. You can see in the figure, like stratified, the first one squamous where it is single layered, the second one is stratified when there are many layers. To prevent from wear and tear, we call it as stratified epithelium. Then if the epithelium is in the shape of column, pillar like, where the absorption and secretion process is taking place, we call them columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium are also called ciliated epithelium. Sometimes in columnar epithelium, outgrowth is also present. So here, if the epithelia is in the form of columns, then we call it as columnar epithelium, and they have some hair-like structures. These are called projections, some hair-like outgrowth. When it has hair-like outgrowth, we call it as cilia. As cilia is present, we call it as ciliated epithelium. So here, in respiratory tract, the columnar epithelium tissue also has cilia, which are hair-like projections. Projections means outgrowth on the outer surface of epithelial cells. These cilia can move and their movement push the mucus forward to clear it. So in respiratory tract, there are some liquid which is making the dust particles and germs to not enter into the lungs. That liquid part is called mucus. This mucus has to be cleared, so there is hair-like projections. These projections will move and make the mucus to move forward. So this kind of epithelium is called ciliated epithelium. This is a kind of columnar epithelium. Now the next one is cuboidal epithelium. So again the name is suggesting cuboidal means it must be in the shape of cube. So as they are cube-like, we call it as cuboidal epithelium. It forms the lining of the kidney tubes and duct of salivary gland. So salivary gland, these are the glands which are present in our mouth. Just below our tongue, there are 3 pairs of salivary gland. That are 6 glands. And those glands are also having the covering of cuboidal epithelium, which provides mechanical support. So here cuboidal column epithelium is providing mechanical support. Epithelial cells often acquire additional specialization as gland. Sometimes epithelial cells are getting formed like gland. So when they have some secretion property, in that terms they will convert like gland. Gland is some glandular structure where it will have duct, so that whatever the content it is having, it can secrete it. So as they are in the form of gland, now we call it as glandular epithelium. So this kind is called glandular epithelium. Now we came across different kind of epithelial tissue. The first one was squamous, striated, then cuboidal, columnar. Columnar is further divided into ciliated. If cilia is present, we call it as ciliated. If no cilia is there, we call it as columnar. Then cuboidal. Sometimes the cuboidal one is getting converted into gland-like structure. Then we call it as glandular epithelium. So this is about epithelial tissue. Okay. While writing the character, you need to write like they are flat. For every like everyone, you will be writing separately. If it is squamous epithelium, they are flat. Nucleus is present and the nucleus is centrally located. Then if it is stratified, multilayer is there, nucleus is at the bottom. Then for cuboidal, again they are cube-like, column-like, and cilia are present. Then columnar epithelium. So in this way you need to classify each. Here you can get the question, either the direct one, write short note on the epithelium, or they can separately ask what is squamous epithelium, where it is present, or what is striated epithelium, where it is present. So like that the separate questions you can get. So prepare out complete paragraph in the form of points. Okay, now let's start out with connective tissue. So as I told, like the name suggests what is its function and what can be its shape. So here connective, it has to connect complete body. So either it can be in the form of liquid or it can be in the form of solid. So here we are having 2 kind of connective tissues. One is liquid connective tissue, other is solid connective tissue. You can think about liquid connective tissue, which is blood and lymph. In our body, we are having 2 kind of liquids. One is blood and other is lymph. And solid connective tissue, they are like bone, cartilage, all, and muscles. All those are bone and cartilage. They are solid connective tissue. So here blood is a type of connective tissue. They can ask like why it is a connective tissue. So answer will be as it is connecting each and every part of the body. Now a clue provided in the introduction of this chapter. Now let us look at this type of tissue in some more detail. The cell of connective tissue are closely spaced and embedded in an intercellular matrix. So here when we come across like blood, how the blood is there? Blood is made up of 2 parts. One is solid part and other is liquid part. Solid part of the blood is called blood cells, which are RBC, WBC and platelets. So already you all are familiar with that, RBC, WBC and platelets. liquid part of blood is called plasma. 90% of blood is made up of liquid part and only 10% blood cells are there. RBC, WBC, platelets. RBC red in color, which helps in gaseous exchange. WBC, they protect the body from infection, and platelet, it helps in blood clotting. So whenever there is injury, these platelets will form blood clot, which will prevent further loss of blood. And plasma membrane, which we call the matrix part, where all these blood cells are embedded. Embedded means they are fixed over there, or they are floating in the plasma. The nature of matrix differ in accordance with the function of the particular connective tissue. So what is the function of the connective tissue? So as we discussed, like there are two kinds of connective tissues. Blood has a fluid matrix called plasma. So this can be one mark question. What is the fluid matrix of the blood? Fluid matrix of the blood is called plasma, in which red blood corpuscles, that is RBC, they can ask about full form. White blood corpuscles, WBC, and platelets are suspended. The plasma contains protein, salts, and hormones. Blood flows and transports gases, digested food, hormones, and waste material to different parts of the body. This is the function of liquid connective tissue. They'll ask, what is the function of liquid connective tissue? You need to think about blood, and its function has to be written. Like it helps in the transport of protein, salts, hormone, gases, digested food, and waste material. Now the another kind of connective tissue is bone. Bone is an example of connective tissue. It forms framework and support the body. It is forming a framework and supporting the body, the main organs of the body, like we have the skeleton. Skeleton is in the form of network where the internal organs are protected. So it is a strong and non-flexible tissue. So we are calling it non-flexible because bones cannot be bent out. The bone which we can bend is called cartilage, which is soft bone. You can feel the cartilage in your ears and in your nose tip where we can bend out. That is the soft bone is called cartilage. What would be the advantage of these property for the bone function? So bone is non-flexible. What is the advantage of that? So for that we can stand. If it is having flexibility, we could have fallen out like a dove. Bone cells are embedded in the hard matrix composed of calcium and phosphorus compound. Very important 1 mark question. What is the matrix of bone? Matrix of bone is hard. Matrix of blood is liquid. Matrix of blood is called plasma, and matrix of bone is made up of calcium and phosphorus. It is hard in nature. Two bones are connected to each other by another type of connective tissue called ligament. So here this is another type of connective tissue, ligament. They can ask directly like bones are connected with what? So two bones are getting connected with ligament. Now when we see our body, here the body is having different different layers. Skin is there. Just below the skin, fat deposition will be there. After that, bones will be there. So each and every part has to be connected. Now the skin is getting connected with one kind of material. Again the fat is getting connected with the bone, another kind of material. Then bone and bone is getting connected. Then bone and muscle is getting connected. So we need to learn about each things like what is being connecting what. The bones are being connected with ligament. Now they are explaining about ligament, characteristics of ligament. This tissue is very elastic. As it is elastic, making our bones to be like to bend out, where we are having joints like the arm bone which we can bend, or the fingers which we can bend. Due to presence of this ligament, as it is having flexibility, we can bend those parts. Ligament contains very little matrix and connect bones with the bone. Now the next type of connective tissue is tendon. Tendon connects bone with muscle. Tendons connect muscle to the bone and are another type of connective tissue. till now we covered 4 kind of connective tissues. The first one is blood, which is liquid connective tissue. Then after that bone, solid connective tissue. Inside the bone again we are getting 2 more subheadings, ligament and tendon. Ligament is connecting bone to bone, tendon is connecting bone to muscle. Tendons are fibrous tissue and with great strength but limited flexibility. Now if they'll ask differentiate between tendon and ligament, we need to write like ligament is connecting bone to bone, tendon is connecting bone to muscle. Their ligament is flexible in nature and tendon is non-flexible. Now another type of connective tissue is cartilage. I explained it previously. Soft bone is called cartilage. It has widely spaced cells. So here the cells are far away, widely spaced. The solid matrix is composed of protein and sugar. So here one mark question. Here the matrix of cartilage is made up of protein and sugar. Cartilage smoothens bone surface at joint and it also present in the nose, ear, trachea and larynx. So here whenever there is bone ending, it is covered with cartilage, which is acting like cushion and protecting bone from friction. It is present at the tips of the bone, along with that nose, ears and trachea and larynx. Larynx is voice box, trachea is wind pipe. We can fold the cartilage of ear, but we cannot bend the bone of our arm, because the bone of the arm is having no space and moreover it is non-flexible. Cartilage is flexible in nature as the cells are having space between them. Now the next kind of connective tissue, that is areolar connective tissue. Areolar connective tissue is found between the skin and muscles. As I told, every layer has to be connected. Bone and bone being joined with the help of ligament, then bone joined with muscle with the help of tendon. Now the skin and muscle is being attached with the help of areolar tissue. Around the blood vessels and nerves and in the bone marrow, all these they are having areolar tissue. It fills the space inside the organ, supports internal organ and helps in repair of tissue. So these all are the functions of the areolar tissue. You can get the separate short note on areolar tissue. The main one, the tissue which is connecting skin to muscle, is called areolar tissue. Now next, adipose tissue, that is fat depositing tissue. Now here fat storing adipose tissue is found below the skin and between the internal organ. So the first again recall it: bone to bone, ligament, bone to muscle, tendon, then muscle to skin, areolar tissue, then just below the skin layer where the fat is deposited, we call it as adipose tissue. And why this adipose tissue is important? It is providing insulation to our body. If more fat deposition will be there, we will not get cold, and if it is less, we can experience more cold or more hotness. So it is even present in between the internal organs. The cell of the tissue are filled with fat globules. Storage of fat also lets it act. So here for this adipose tissue, we need to read out like adipose tissue, it is present just below the skin where fat is being deposited. It is acting like a insulation to the body. It is present in between internal organs also, so that to provide protection to them. So this is what we completed with the connective tissue. Okay, one more important topic here, all the diagrams are given which you need to memorize. They can ask this for 2 marks question or sometimes 4 marks question, where diagram will be given and they will not give this labeling. So labelings has to be given by you. You need not to learn out with the practice of the diagram. They never ask for the diagram to draw, only labeling will be asked. So just learn it very clearly, what are the different labelings of the different. Now the next topic, muscular tissue. So muscular tissue means the tissue which is present in our muscles. Muscular tissue consists of elongated cells, also called muscle fibers. So here the cells are elongated, so they are long in structure. This tissue is responsible for the movement of our body. Muscular tissue is helping in the movement of our body. So you can see the different kinds of tissues are given, how their structures and how they are different to each other. So let's go in detail. Muscles contain special protein called contractile protein. This is also one of the important question for 1 mark. Protein present in muscle is called contractile protein, which contracts and relax to cause the movement. So here they can make different kind of questions. Name the protein present in muscle, or they can ask like which protein is responsible for contraction and relaxation of muscles. So answer is contractile protein. We can move some muscles by conscious will. That is, as per our will, we can move certain muscles, and certain muscles which are not under our control. So here on the basis of that consciousness, we can classify the muscles into 2 categories. One is voluntary muscle, other is non-voluntary muscles. So voluntary muscles are those muscles which are in control of our will, like we can move them when we feel like. And another category where we cannot move it are called non-voluntary muscles, like heart muscles or digestive system muscles. Generally the internal organs muscles we cannot move as per our wish. So we call them non-voluntary muscles. So here muscles present in our limbs move when we want them and stop when we do not, when we so decide. Such muscles are called voluntary muscles. So you can define it like the muscles which are under our control are called voluntary muscles. And the muscles are also called skeletal muscles. The another name of voluntary muscle is called skeletal muscles. Why they called so? Because they are directly attached to the skeleton. As they are mostly attached to the bones and help in the body movement, we call them skeletal muscle. Under the microscope, these muscles show alternate light and dark band or striation. Here you can see in the diagram 1, that is A1, you can like the ring-like structure is there. One is dark, other is light. Again dark, light. That is they are having striation. One is dark and other is light. So as they are having striation, we call them striated muscles also. Voluntary muscles are called skeletal muscle because they are directly attached to the bones of the skeleton. They are called striated muscles because they have light and dark striations. Now they show alternate light and dark bands or striations when strained appropriately. When if you want to see them in microscope, we need to strain it. So when they are strained, they shows light and dark striations. So they are also called striated muscles. As a result, they are also called striated. The cells of these tissue are long, cylindrical, unbranched and multinucleated. So this is the characteristics, and this is very important question where they will ask, write the difference between voluntary, non-voluntary, or they can ask like striated, non-striated and cardiac muscle. So these all points you need to remember. Regarding the characters, they are long, cylindrical, unbranched and multinucleated. The movement of the food in alimentary canal. Now we started with the next category. The movement in the blood alimentary canal and contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels are involuntary movements. So they are not under our control. We cannot really start them or stop them simply by wanting to do so. So when we want, we cannot stop the movement of the alimentary canal. It is going on. The process which is not under our control, we call it as non-voluntary actions, and the muscles which control them are called non-voluntary muscles or smooth muscles. So here the other name of involuntary muscles or smooth muscles. They are also found in the iris of the eye. So iris of the eye, that the black part, that is also made up of involuntary muscles, in ureters and in the bronchi of the lungs. So here ureter Ureter, they are the part of the urinary system. Ureters are also having involuntary muscles. Even in the lungs, the lung windpipe is getting terminated with the bronchus. Bronchus further divides into bronchi. So that bronchi is also made up of involuntary muscles. They are spindle shaped. Now what is this spindle shape? You can see in the diagram, they are having pointed end. When some of the tissue is having pointed end, we call it as spindle like. So the first one, they are cylindrical in shape. The second one is spindle shaped. And uninucleated. There we got multinucleated. Many nucleus are present. Here it is single nucleus. In diagram you can see only one central nucleus is present. So it is uninucleated. They are also called unstriated muscles. This is the next difference. They are unstriated. The previous one was striated because they were having alternate band of light and dark. But here no striation is there, so they called unstriated. And the last one, the muscle of the heart shows rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. These involuntary muscles are called cardiac muscles. So your heart muscles are called cardiac muscles, and they are involuntary in nature, and they undergo contraction and relaxation throughout the life. Heart muscles are cylindrical, branched and uninucleated. So here they are cylindrical. You can see from the diagram, they are cylindrical in shape. The difference between the first and the third one, there is no branching, but in heart muscle there is branching. From figure you can sort out how the branches are present. And next, they are also uninucleated. The first one uninucleated, last one is uninucleated. The second one is uninucleated, where the first one was multinucleated. So this you need to prepare for like a tabular way to difference between them, differentiate. That is very important question of this chapter, where you need to compare the muscular tissue on the basis of their shape, number of nucleus, and what is their function, like whether they are contracting, relaxing throughout the life, or whether they are voluntary, involuntary. So on the basis of that, you can classify them. Now the last type of tissue is nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is also one of the important tissue of the animal. All the cells possesses the ability to respond to stimuli. Now what is a stimuli? Stimuli is nothing but external factor like heat, cold, light, wind, whatever the factor we responds, that is called stimuli. Sometimes if we step on a sharp object, soon we lift our leg. That is, that point is being identified by our feet. So how we are getting that information? Because the nerve cells are present in our feet. They will give information to the brain that something is being pinned inside, and will react according to that. So that we call stimuli. So this response to stimuli is done by nervous tissue. However, the cells of the nervous tissue are highly specialized for being stimulated. So the cells are highly specialized, means they are highly designed so that they can respond to stimuli. Here the structure of nervous tissue is very often asked, which you need to prepare for your exam. Then transmitting the stimuli very rapidly from one place to another within the body. So here, as they have some special design, so with the help of that design, they can transport the information from one body to other. So let's discuss about the structure. Here when we see the nervous tissue, it has like tree-like structure. So where there will be cell body, and then cell body is having some extension. That extension is called axon. And then there is a nerve ending. So you can see here, the nervous tissue is having a tree branch like structure where the cell body, then cell body is having nucleus in the center, then the nerve endings, these are called dendrons, and further they get the branching, which is called dendrites. The first one is called dendron, then dendrite, nucleus, this is cytoplasm, the transmitting the stimulus very rapidly from one place to another within the body. The brain, spinal cord and nerves all are composed of nervous tissue. So here they are making the nervous system of our body, where all the information is being sent very quickly to the brain and action has to be taken out. So thus the nervous system is made up of brain, spinal cord and nerves. And the cells of these tissue are called nerve cells or neuron. So here they can ask for draw the structure of neuron, where the neuron is having cell body, then nucleus is present, then there is outgrowth. This outgrowth is called dendrons, and then dendrons further divided into dendrite. Then there is a elongated body which is called axon, and then the ending of the nerve is called nerve ending. Two nerve cells never join end to end. There is a gap between the two nerve cells where the information will send in the form of electric impulse, or we can say electric signals. The junction where the two nerve cells join is called synapse. Synapse is the functional junction between the two nerve cells. So this diagram is very important. Now the different parts of the nerve cell are single long part which is called axon, many short branches, they are called dendrites, and individual nerve cell may be up to meter long. So nerve cell is the longest cell of our body. Many nerves fiber bound together by connective tissue made up a nerve. So what is this nerve? When many nerve cells will combine together, they forms nerve fiber. The signal that passes along the nerve fiber is called nerve impulse. So here the signals, like just now I explained, when we step on any sharp object, we take out our feet, that is a signal being sent to the brain immediately. So that signal which is being transported is called nerve impulse. Nerve impulse allows us to move our muscles when we want to. The functional combination of the nerve and muscle tissue is fundamental to most animals. So here when they are in coordination to each other, that is the nerve cell and muscle cells, then only the animal can work out. Thus to animal to be active, their nervous system along with muscular system has to be in coordination. This combination enables animals to move rapidly in response to stimuli. So when they are in coordination, they respond to stimuli. Whatever the stimuli will be there, they respond to that quickly, immediately. So this is what we discussed about animal tissue. Topics are very interesting. You need to read it and learn properly, where they will ask each and every question separately. There will not be complete short note on whole topic. So every point to be prepared separately, and sub questions can be there, 1 mark questions, like where the points already are marked. So once you go through with all these, so most probably I feel like everyone understood it properly.